What our marketing has evolved to become is a sort of a series of programs. So there is the email newsletter and the blog. There is the biweekly webinar. There is the annual conference. There is the book. There is the LinkedIn newsletter. And then there's all kinds of other social activity. And then we have an account-based marketing program. We look at the performance of these programs and then decide whether they should be discontinued or we should invest more, or they should be changed somehow. So there are mostly very evolved and refined systems that are built into these programs. So for example, our biweekly webinar, it's called Wine and Web. This was the 11th year we've done it. It's very fast and efficient. It doesn't take a lot of discussion. We just have to find the next speaker, or I teach every other one. And we decide, is there some important way that this should be adapted? That was adapted a year and a half ago. We turned it into a webinar, of course, because we couldn't do live events. And at that moment, our planning changed. We decided to make it biweekly. Okay, great. The process for follow-up, the value to visitors and attendees as a networking event, the entire thing changed because it became virtual. We're measuring attendance and just anecdotal qualitative feedback from people. We also are using it to feed topics and speakers to our other channels. So this is the ecosystem philosophy. For example, I spoke at an event 4 months ago. People really liked 2 of my answers. I haven't written about those. I haven't spoken about those. Wine and Web is coming up. I'm going to make a Wine and Web about LinkedIn for B2B marketers. Okay, great. It went very well. Feedback was great. I included an influencer. We had like 200 registrants. I knew that this topic was working. Time for the next format, the newsletter. Okay, so the last newsletter became this big thing, 10 tips for LinkedIn, including the quotes from the influencer, using some of the slides and graphics from the webinar. So these things are all sort of feeding each other. They're not isolated events. The topics, the collaborations, and the formats are all complementing each other. So that was very successful. Tons of great people are still writing to me. Hey, I missed it, but I heard it was great. Can you share the video? And we have analytics on it. The performance of the landing page and the click-through rate from the email, and the number of registrants and the number of live attendees and the number of views on the post-event landing page. So that's a program. It touches on all the important criteria for success. It is collaborative. It's a live thing, so it creates urgency. It complements our other formats. So that's an event that we'll just keep doing next year with basically no change. The blog and newsletter, basically no change. One of the things that we do in planning is look for missed opportunities. And we've identified a big missed opportunity that may lead to a structural change. Less than a year ago, we pressed the create newsletter button in LinkedIn. Now, when we publish articles, it will send them to people that have subscribed to that LinkedIn newsletter. It went from 0 to there's now like 120,000 subscribers. And it was just a separate thing. It was like syndicating content. It literally just a virtual assistant copying and pasting old articles into LinkedIn. Now it has 5 times the subscribers as our normal newsletter. So this becomes an opportunity. Planning for 2022. What should we do? Well, this we're doing weekly. The newsletter we do bi-weekly. Let's make this the same article, not just old articles. Let's make this the same article that goes out when the newsletter goes out. Just another channel for this to promote the same content. That's an example of a change in plans because of an opportunity. Web Design Chicago. I need leads like every day. We're project-based. We have no recurring revenue. How do you rank this high for a phrase that valuable? This phrase is worth, for people that rank, maybe $1 million a year, maybe much more. We're a $7 million a year company with no advertising, 100% organic growth based on content marketing. So how do you rank that high for that phrase? Well, the answer is you have to have a site that has significant enough authority to compete for that phrase. Our authority level is 60. 10,000 websites have linked to us. Why have 10,000 websites linked to us? Well, it's because we have relationships with content creators, but also we have content that's worthy of being linked to. This is one URL on our site that has 2,400 links. So these are research articles about web design standards, about website navigation, about writing headlines, about the ideal length for articles. So we have lots of content that has lots of links to it, giving us a very high overall domain authority, which helps us rank for the very valuable key phrases. What the best content marketers are doing is they are experts at measuring indirect benefits. No content, no links, no links, no authority, no authority, no ranking for valuable key phrases, no ranking for valuable key phrases, no qualified visitors, no qualified visitors, no leads. I honestly have no idea how you could possibly build a lead generation machine that kicks out leads every day. We generated 900 leads last year. There is just no way of doing that without blog posts. I don't have to try to explain to CMOs how powerful or valuable it is to rank that high for phrases that with intent that strong. They can go do whatever they want. But if someone wants me to explain, I'll tell them exactly the SEO connection between content marketing and revenue. We have a very long sales cycle. We sell, $100,000 websites, and it takes people weeks or months sometimes to decide who to hire. I recently closed a deal where I've been talking to them for a year and a half. What happens after you have the first sales call is that urgency may disappear, or they may just start shopping around, looking at competitors. So how do you stay in front of this company? How do you stay relevant to them? How do you nurture them? That's usually the word, right? How do you nurture these, or how do you warm up cold leads? There again, content is super useful. We published some research about what's good on banking websites. Stop for a minute. Have I talked to any banks in the last 2 years? No. Are there any banks in our pipeline right now? Can I reach out to people and specifically invite them to engage with our content because they are a prospect or they were a prospect? So the sales team is expected to keep following up again and again, right? Oh, I haven't heard from them in 2 weeks. Time to call them again. Why? What's that call sound like? It sounds terrible. But if the callback is something that's engaging, hey, I know you're not ready for a website now, but we just finished some research about bank websites. And if you'd like to join this webinar, you'll see what banks are doing on their websites. That's a much better call. So, hey, bank that I want you to hire me, I'm writing an article about this. Would you like to contribute a quote? That call is a press hit for them. They're very excited by it. They love that. And do you have time to do that? Yes, because it's a long sales cycle. That's when these things are helpful, is when the sales cycles are very long. This was our annual blogger research, which is our big research project each year. Got 1,000 bloggers to answer 20 questions. And the last question was about COVID, and the 41% said nothing changed in their blogging strategy, at least. About an equal number increased and decreased publishing frequency. Topics changed for a lot of marketers. Only a small percentage of us added a new channel. I got very active on YouTube. For us, it did not change our email or blogging strategy at all. It canceled the conference for 2 years, and it turned our monthly live event into a webinar. I also published a few articles and gave a few presentations about how to prepare for the rebound. I did more research. I reached out to agencies and asked them how impacted were they, what kind of agencies were most impacted. So you can see PR firms went down a lot and SEO firms went up a little. It hasn't really been that dramatic of a change for us because live events wasn't a critical piece of our marketing strategy. We weren't sponsoring conferences. That's the big channel that was most impacted. How could MQLs be dead? Here, I'll show you, and it's not secret knowledge, but this is my weekly sales meeting document. This is revenue through November, right? We're gonna be right there at the 7 million. Blue line is form submissions. Marketing qualified leads are red. So look at that. Last week, there were 16 or something like that, marketing qualified leads. Here's pipeline revenue. So what drives these numbers? Total leads, marketing qualified leads, converted. Well, I can see that right here. Look, there's a visitor to the homepage. This person probably came from search from one of those phrases, Chicago web design. So I've got my conversion rates in here, at the bottom of the funnel. I've got my top line traffic in here at the top of the funnel. Digital marketing, build a bridge from a traffic source to your thank you page. Did that change? I never noticed any change to the effectiveness of that. Marketing qualified leads aren't dead. I'm talking to people like every day. People call us up and hire us all the time. We're doing 50 projects a year. We grew 10% exactly through these channels. I have no evidence that the effectiveness of digital marketing has declined at all. The search rankings have gotten more difficult. Click-through rate from Google has gone down because they have so many things in search results. I think there's fatigue around certain formats like virtual events. People are signing up for those less, I think, right now than they were. But no, digital marketing is working extremely well and driving tons of demand and creating huge opportunities for the companies that know how to do it.